Hello guys, how are you?
I'm Hardeep Singh. Welcome back to your own YouTube channel. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test, and speaking, you got guesswork. Please, guys, participate in everyday listening and reading practice test to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Press the bell icon for the upcoming notifications. Don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams.
Part 1.
You will hear a woman calling an insurance company to report an accident. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 7.
Rawlings Insurance. Good morning, can I help you?
Oh, hello. I'm ringing to report an accident.
A car accident?
Yes.
Just hold the line a moment, please. I'm putting you through to our motor insurance department.
Hello?
Hello?
I understand you want to report an accident.
Yes. My car's been damaged. Someone came out in front of me.
Could I just check a few personal details before we go any further?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Your name, first of all.
It's Elizabeth Rickard.
Is that R-I-K-A-R-D?
It's spelt with a C, not a K.
Oh, okay. And your date of birth, please.
It's the 8th of October, 1975.
And lastly, I just need to check your address.
Oh, actually, I moved house last month, so the street name's different. It's 60 Forest Road. I think you've got 22 Ash Avenue on your records.
I have, so I'll just make a note of that. That's fine. And is that in the same town still, Callington?
That's right.
Right. Now, do you have your insurance policy in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Can you give me the policy number, please? It's at the top.
Oh, yes. 50924?
It's in a box. It should start with letters.
Oh, CZ8809?
That's the one. And now I want to ask you about the accident itself. Is that okay?
Yes, that's fine.
First of all, did it happen today?
No, it happened yesterday evening, but by the time I got home it was late, so I didn't call.
That's not a problem. So, let's see. Today's the 13th of September, so it happened on the 12th. Is that right?
It is.
Do you know approximately what time the accident occurred?
Oh dear, I wasn't wearing a watch and I was a bit shocked, but I'd say it was between 8:15 and 8:45.
That's okay. I'll just record that it happened at about 8:30. It doesn't matter exactly. And I don't suppose you've got any supporting evidence, have you? I mean witness statements, that kind of thing.
I don't have witness statements, I'm afraid, but I've got a police report. They came and measured up and checked the marks on the road, but unfortunately nobody else was around at the time of the accident.
Any hospital report?
No.
So I take it you don't have any medical problems then? Any injuries?
Only minor ones. It was mainly the car that got damaged, luckily.
Absolutely. But we do recommend that you have a check-up anyway, within 24 hours if possible.
Yes, okay. I'll make an appointment today.
Fine. And now, can you tell me what happened exactly? I'm going to make a few notes.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 8 to 10.
I was driving home from the swimming pool and
I don't know Callington at all, so could you describe it for me? Where did the accident happen?
On the road between Newtown and Callington. I was driving from Newtown, heading towards Callington, and...
OK, just let me draw the road layout. Right. OK.
When you leave Newtown, there's a sharp bend in the road, and then there's a railway bridge.
OK.
And then about half a kilometre further on, there's a crossroads with traffic lights, and I was just in between the two when it happened. I wasn't going very fast. In fact, I definitely...
So you'd already gone over the bridge?
Yes, and I'd passed the park, that's on the right-hand side, and I was just approaching the petrol station.
Where's that then?
It's a bit further along, on the opposite side.
So on your near side then?
Yes. As I was approaching it, I saw a blue van coming towards me. The driver had stopped in the middle of the road.
Was he indicating?
Yes, he was waiting to turn into the petrol station, but then at the last minute he decided to turn right in front of me. He must have thought he had enough time, but I had to swerve to avoid him, and I came off the road and landed in a ditch on the opposite side.
I don't suppose he stopped, did he?
Oh, yes, he came over to see if I was okay, but he tried to say it was my fault, and there wasn't anyone else.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2.
You will hear a woman talking on the radio about a project to conserve dormice in one area of the UK. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14.
Good morning, and welcome to our weekly programme about countryside matters. With me today I have Jackie Lammerton. Jackie works for the nature organisation Action for Wildlife, and she's appealing for volunteers for a project she's organising. So if you think you might be willing to help, please listen carefully. Jackie.
Thank you. Yes, as you've just heard, I represent a charity called Action for Wildlife, which works to protect plants and animals. And I'm here today to talk about a project to save a type of mouse known as a dormouse. We can still find the dormouse in this area, but in the last few decades, the number of dormice has seriously declined, not just in this country but across the world. There are several reasons for this: loss of habitat, climate change, competition for food, and this area of the UK is now regarded as one of the last strongholds. So naturally, we want to help the creature to survive here as much as we can. The aim of the first stage of our project is simply to identify specific locations where dormice are still to be found and estimate the number we have here. So I'll just tell you a little bit about the creature in case you don't already know. The dormouse is a very attractive, very small mammal. It only weighs about the same as a couple of pound coins. It's bright golden in colour, and it has a thick furry tail and big black eyes. Now, you've probably all seen a picture of a dormouse, but you're very unlikely to have seen a real one because they're strictly nocturnal. Also, they hibernate from October to April, so it's not around at all for about half the year. So where is the dormouse to be found? Well, dormice need to be near a variety of trees and plants, so they can be sure of a continuous supply of food throughout the spring and summer. They feed on flowers, pollen, fruit, insects, ripe nuts, things that are available in turn as the summer progresses. Here in the UK, the dormouse is most likely to live in places like hedgerows or woods, or at the edges of farmland. So how do we find out exactly where dormice are? Well, as they're hard to spot, as I said, we have to use indirect methods. Instead of trying to see dormice themselves, we look for evidence of dormouse activity. Dormice eat hazelnuts, so we'll be looking for the shells that dormice have opened to get at the nut inside. A lot of wildlife species eat hazelnuts. It's not just dormice. But it's usually possible to tell which particular animal has opened a nut by looking at the marks on the shells. So now, for those of you who would like to help us carry out this survey, let me tell you exactly what to do. You'll need to get an identification sheet like this from us. Then you should spend time looking for hazelnut shells in the bottom of hedgerows or on the ground in woodlands.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 15 to 20.
If you find one, use the identification sheet to try and establish what kind of creature has opened it. You'll see from the pictures on the sheet that different creatures do it in different ways. For example, you'll see that insects make a small hole in the shell, less than 2 millimeters across. Then there's another type of mouse called a wood mouse. Wood mice make a hole in the shell too, but they leave parallel tooth marks on the inner rim of the shell, as well as rough scratches on the surface. Thirdly, there are little mammals called voles. These creatures don't leave any marks on the surface, but they leave tooth marks on the inner rim of the hole. And these marks are neat and parallel, so they're fairly easy to identify. Then there are squirrels and birds. They both open the nuts, leaving half shells that have got jagged edges. And finally, we have our dormice. They make a hole in the shell that has a smooth inner edge, and the tooth marks it leaves are on the surface at an angle to the hole. And these are the ones we're looking for, of course. Firstly, if you do find any nuts which you think have been opened by dormice, you need to record their location as precisely as possible. You can use the grid references on a map, or you can sketch your own map. But if you do, be sure to include landmarks or road names. It's very important that we know exactly where the shells came from. Then put the nut shells in a small container. Any kind will do, a film box or a matchbox, anything that prevents them from being crushed in the post. And then finally, give them a label, just your name and contact details, and send them to Action for Wildlife. When we receive them, an expert will look at the shells to confirm your identification. The address to send them to is...
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
Listen to the conversation between Bill and Anne, two students who are discussing the talks they have to present to their social psychology class. First, listen to the first part of the conversation and answer questions 21 to 25.
Hi, Anne. How's it going?
I'm going mad. I haven't even started preparing my talk for tomorrow's political science class.
Me neither.
I've been so busy looking after my mum.
She's still ill.
Yeah. The doctor says I should get someone to do all her cooking and cleaning for another week or so, but we can't afford to employ someone to help her. The neighbours are all too busy. It's not that I'm too busy with my other classes.
That's really tough. I've got no excuses for not being prepared. Too much time playing computer games.
How many times have I told you?
I know, but at least I've got a topic.
Which is?
Well, it's about an experiment in Los Angeles, I think, that I read about in social studies at high school. It's about how wearing a uniform can change people's personalities. This professor got a lot of his students to agree to take part in an experiment during the summer vacation, but he wouldn't tell them anything about it.
As the conversation continues, answer questions 26 to 30.
Can you remember the professor's name?
No, but I think he was from the University of California at Los Angeles.
Well, at least you've got the most important thing, a topic. I haven't even got that. So, what happened in this experiment?
Well, the prof got the local police to cooperate. One night, they went to about 20 students and arrested them. Poor guys didn't have a clue what for.
And they didn't know it was the experiment they had volunteered for?
They had no idea. And it had been weeks since they volunteered for the experiment. Anyway, the cops took them to a school building that had been made to look like the inside of a prison or a police station. Can't remember.
It's not important. And what happened then? Did they get charged or something?
Don't know. They must have been told something, but that's not the main thing.
Which was?
Well, what they didn't know was that about 8 other students were waiting at the police station, or whatever it was, dressed up as prison guards.
Hey, now I think I read about that ages ago. The experiment took place in the early 70s, and the students dressed as prison guards were told to act like prison guards.
I've just thought of something. Did the arrested students know the other students?
I don't know. I wouldn't have thought so. No, different schools, because otherwise the ones who thought they'd been arrested might have realised it was the experiment they had signed up for.
Guess you're right. But then what happened? Remember?
Yeah, the guards really got into it and started treating the other guys like they see on the movies, making them do press-ups, cutting their hair really short, not letting them sleep. A real power trip. The poor guys were terrified.
Yeah. The experiment was supposed to last for a week, but things got out of control, remember? The guys who thought they were prisoners, not guards, started having nervous breakdowns.
Hey, look at the time. I gotta go. At least you've got something to talk about. How role-playing can get real, especially when we put uniforms on.
Yeah, and the students were normal, nice guys.
Who didn't waste time with computer games.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
You are going to hear a lecture about sales and marketing. You now have some time to read questions 31 to 40.
Good evening, and welcome to the second class of our Sales and Marketing course. Tonight, and in the next few weeks, I'll be talking about advertising. To be specific, about different types of advertising, different types of message, all of which, of course, are supposed to make your company or your organization, the government perhaps, more successful. Now, please note that I'm not, at this stage, going to talk about advertising media. There are various choices here: radio, newspapers, television, billboards, magazines, and, of course, the Internet. It's almost impossible to go into Google or Yahoo or whatever and not find adverts on almost every page. But we'll talk about the various choices of media later. First, I will stress one thing. Advertising can be expensive. Whether you are a small business, an NGO, or a multinational corporation. So it's very important that what you spend on advertising is money well spent, money that achieves your objectives, whatever they might be. The ads must be cost-effective. It is therefore essential to use the right type of advertising with the right message that make it effective. There are several types of advertising, aiming to promote one, sometimes more, of the following things: brand name, company image, a product, a service rather than a product, or a group, like a manufacturers association or a cooperative. Can you think of anything else? Right, you might want to make people look after their health better and associate your company with things that can help them do this. But the common aim is that the advertiser wants to change or reinforce people's attitudes and perceptions, and in most cases, their behavior, maybe their buying habits. Which type you choose depends on your objectives. All clear so far? Good. Okay, let's look at a very common type, advertising designed to promote a brand name. If you go out to buy many types of product, toothpaste, detergent, cheese, how many of you think of the name of the company that made it? Right, you don't usually think of Procter & Gamble when you buy the company's Tide laundry detergent, or Cascade dishwashing powder, or the Kraft Company when you buy Philadelphia cream cheese. That's right, Philadelphia cream cheese is a registered brand name. In fact, the name of the company, Kraft, is hardly noticeable on the package. The point is that these companies have successfully promoted the name of various products, and consumers buy these products primarily because they recognize the brand name and may not even know the name of the company that makes it. So, advertising to promote a brand name is designed to create and keep strong image in the customer's mind of the product, not the company. For example, would you buy Shell? You know, the big oil company. Would you buy Shell beer? It's a famous company, but probably not. Imagine. But what if Shell had bought a brewery and marketed a beer they called Granddad's Old Ale? You can bet that the word Shell Oil Company would be in the smallest print possible and would never be mentioned in Granddad's Old Ale advertising. But when you buy a can of Shell oil or some gasoline, the word Shell is big and everywhere. So, there's nothing better than a good brand name. Now, let's look at another type of advertising. Advertising that is designed to promote a company image. Imagine you've started a new company. You might want to start by getting the company name known first, before you worry about advertising your products and services. One company that did this was in San Francisco, the San Fran Video Store. The managers decided to promote the company name rather than promote the videos they rented out. They put small ads in local newspapers that simply said, San Fran Video Store, a great selection of movies. And they also had people handing out little cards with the same message on them, plus a list of the store locations. So they didn't spend a fortune on advertising. They put most of their money into making sure they had a great selection of movies. And it worked. They started with 4 stores in 1995, and now they have, at last count, 27. Now, can you think of examples of companies advertising both a product and the company name in the same advert? Come on, you must be able to think of one. What? That's right, a good example. Makers of luxury things like perfume and fashion. For example, when Chanel brings out a new perfume, the advertising message is always something like, Nightlight by Chanel. This almost immediately gives the new perfume a good reputation because it's by Chanel, and also reinforces perception of the company name. So, the different types of advertising might not be mutually exclusive. The important thing is that the objectives must be clear, mutually supportive, and not contradictory. Another type of advertising is designed to promote a service rather than a physical product. But our time is up, so we'll leave that till next time. Good night, everybody.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
So guys, don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test and speaking, you got guesswork. Please guys, participate in everyday new IELTS listening and reading practice tests to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. For more IELTS material, visit my official website www.ieltsupdatesandrecentexams.com. The link is given below in the description. If you need PDF files of latest IELTS material, then please join my Telegram channel. So guys, please write your score below the comment section. Again, thanks for listening. God bless you all guys. Stay tuned, stay safe.